First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws to F off since they don't want to put in the effort? A year and 3 months ago, my husband and I took custody of his sister's 3 kids, Josh 8, Eliza 7, and Cole 6. Names are fake, but I wanted to make this easier to write out. My husband and I also have 2 kids together, Ella 7 and Micah 5. My in-laws were also spoken to about taking in their grandkids, but they did not feel like they could, and neither did the kids' paternal aunt, so my husband and I took them in. It has been rough. They were taken off their parents because the parents were not sending them to school. But outside of that, they were feeding them badly, not enforcing any bedtime or any kind of structure. My sister-in-law and her husband refused to comply with sending them to school, and after lengthy intervention from CPS, they were removed from the home. So when we got the kids, it had been many months since they had been to school. They had never eaten a vegetable and never had a bedtime that they could remember. And it has been hard. They still hate school, and I ended up needing to drive them to school because they would run from the bus stop. They still don't want to eat anything but food they were used to with their parents, and homework is not easy or fun. But I am determined to do what I can. So is my husband. They are in therapy twice a week, etc. My in-laws started complaining about their lack of progress during lockdown. They would ask how schoolwork was going from home and how their diet was, etc. And they would blame me when they were told very little had changed. They blamed me because I'm the one who stays at home. I'm the one who is active most in the normal 9-to-5 setting. My husband is active and involved and a great parent, but we need him to work. We started ignoring my in-laws after they refused to listen when my husband told them to stop blaming me. He told them we would be happy for them to help, but if not, they needed to be quiet. But they are not finished. And I had a bad day recently, and then my mother-in-law showed up at our house and announced to tell me I'm doing a bad job, and I lost it a little. I told her to F off and keep her opinion to herself when she wasn't willing to step up and put the effort in to help the kids. I told her I was putting the effort in and was doing all I could, and I was following the advice of the therapists, and she was being a judgmental jerk. She was not happy, and my husband got a long email about my behavior. I feel a little bad for snapping, and at the same time, I'm so frustrated. They never want to help out, and yet they treat me like crap and accuse me of not doing a good enough job. It's already hard juggling everything without that on top of it all. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Well, now you know something about how your sister-in-law became the kind of mother who gets her kids taken away by CPS. Your mother-in-law is attacking you because she probably feels guilty for raising this person who turned out this way, and because she didn't step up herself. Normally, I would say it's rude to tell your mother-in-law to F off, but under these circumstances, I wholly support your choice of verbiage. Not the a-hole. I definitely agree with you. OP is doing everything they can to help these children. I find it completely in the right to ignore and tell the mother-in-law to leave them alone. The sister-in-law lost her children for a reason, and mother-in-law shouldn't be judging OP for a problem that originally came from sister-in-law's own negligent actions. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you and your husband are doing the best you can with the situation, and I applaud the two of you for stepping up and taking this all on. We are. It's not easy trying to juggle everything, but we want the best for the kids. The fact my in-laws don't think I do stung at first. And now it just pisses me off because they have no idea how invested I am in these kids' well-beings and their future. Not the a-hole. Sounds like it's time to cut some limbs off the family tree. I'm just trying to imagine that email. I came to your house to tell your wife she's not doing things correctly, and when I kept telling her how trash she is, she got upset. The nerve. How dare she? I sure won't be providing surprise negative parenting classes anymore since you don't appreciate them. Like what? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her top choice baby name was a stupid ass name and that she should change it unless she wanted him to get bullied? My sister is pregnant, and as the due date is approaching, she's asking people for some feedback on the baby's name. She's mighty proud of the alternative and creative name she's chosen. Now, I am a pretty tolerant person. I don't have much of a temper, but when I see a parent making a stupid choice and making a kid's life hell in the future, you can bet your butt I'll do something about it. I waited till I was asked since, overall, it kind of wasn't my business, and to some extent, I didn't give a crap. I mean, how alternative can one's name be, right? No. She's naming the kid Crayon. Crayon. Like the freaking thing we used to draw with in 3rd grade. What? Okay, like sure, a little kid called Crayon might be cute. Still weird in my opinion. But imagine a 42-year-old man called Crayon. Imagine introducing your boyfriend Crayon to your parents. Imagine having freaking Crayon on your application form and tombstone. Imagine having freaking Crayon on your application form and tombstone. She asked me what I thought of my nephew's name, and I said I wasn't enthusiastic about it. She kept going on and on about how creative it was, and how she was so happy she thought it up. I was like, bruh. But she kept going on, and when she suggested she help me name a kid in the future, I couldn't hold back. I told her it was a stupid name, and that she was asking for him to get bullied in the future. I said she should look into other names since it wasn't on any paper yet. She got upset, told me she didn't need my negative energy, and she posted a long rant on Facebook about how hostile I was. My mom told me to apologize and support her, and my family is saying I'm a rude person and that the world is not as hateful as you. That's what my mom said. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Crayon is a terrible name. I've heard some awful ones as an early childhood teacher. Paddock is one that I still remember. Vector, like the Despicable Me villain. Tub. See Lena. Cherry Heaven. But Crayon is the sort of name that would make even the most professional and non-judgmental teacher go, "Oh, really? That's an interesting name." Once, we got a post about a mother naming her twin daughter Angel and a son Demon. Not Damien or Damon. Straight up Demon. But honestly, Crayon tops everything else. What possessed her to choose that name? Not the a-hole. That name is so bad that you'd actually be the a-hole if you didn't do everything in your powers to stop it from happening. It sounds like there was no stopping the sister from naming her kid Crayon. Hope he could try to explain all the jokes that this kid will probably go through growing up. But if the sister does go through the name Crayon, I guarantee the child probably changed their name when they turn 18. I can imagine kids joking, "Where's the blue crayon?" looking over at the nephew wearing blue shirt. Kids are cruel. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for making my mom cry when she called my child retarded? I, 38 male, have a daughter, 11, who was recently diagnosed with autism. We thought it would be wise to tell this to my aunt, in-laws, and my parents, just so they can be expectant of any complications. My daughter frequently goes to her aunt's to see her cousin on a Thursday, since they lived only about 15 minutes from where we did. Sometimes we'll leave my daughter with my in-laws, or sometimes we'll leave them with my parents. This is just in case you wanted to know. I have to start by saying that my mom is the type of person who hates being told that she's wrong. My dad would often lose arguments with her when I was younger because she'd cry or throw a toddler-level tantrum, and it was honestly just tiring for him. As I became an adult, she became more dependent on me and would repeat the waterworks treatment she did with my dad if I refused to do something for her or tell her she was wrong in something. Essentially, to my mom, my telling her she is wrong is equivalent to murdering somebody in public. Anyway, main story. We informed my aunt and in-laws about my daughter's autism. They were pretty understanding of it. The real problem started with my mom. When we got around to informing my parents, my dad was okay, but my mom got upset, asking me why I didn't find this out earlier. I honestly don't know how to respond to that, as I wasn't even sure if that was a rational question. But then she continued saying that a child that is crazy will be tough to raise, and I should probably give her up for adoption. I told her I wasn't going to do that, and she blew a fuse. She told me that I was being ridiculous, and that I would end up being a bad parent, and that she did not want a retarded grandchild. I saw red. Admittedly, it was hard for me not to lose it when she made that adoption and crazy comment, but I lost it. I told her that she was a freaking cruel piece of fish, and she always has been, and that she can't comment on my parenting style when her parenting was less than terrible. She burst into tears, asking me how I could be so horrible to her after everything she has done for me. I point-blank told her, "You've never done jack." My daughter was in her room watching cartoons on her tablet so she couldn't hear me, and I hung up. Now, I'm wondering if I went too far. because my dad called me to tell me that I should apologize to my mom in order to keep the peace. A lot of my family members on my mom's side are telling me to just be the bigger person and that my grandfather had Asperger's and mistreated her as a child, so that's why she may have said that. My wife agrees there's no excuse to what she said and that I shouldn't apologize, but I don't know. So lay it out thick, Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If you ever allow her around your child again, you will not only be an a-hole, you'll be a failure as a parent. I agree. OP, don't leave your daughter with them ever again. Go no contact if necessary, and don't apologize. Not the a-hole. There is no excuse for what she said. I don't care who mistreated her as a child. She's a full-grown adult now who's responsible for herself. If I was in your position, she would never see my daughter again. And I don't say things like this lightly, but she literally told you to give your daughter up for adoption just because of her health issues. That's unforgivable. Exactly. Not the a-hole. I'm autistic, albeit high-functioning. I want anybody says something negative about an autistic person, or that it's their fault or whatever, really just freaking pisses me off. Even after 30 years of understanding and spreading the knowledge, people still don't understand what it really is or what it means to have it and live with it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not punishing my daughter for mocking her cousin? My wife and her younger sister are best friends. As a result, when our middle daughter and her cousin were born around the same time, my wife really expected them to also be best friends. With 16 years of hindsight, I can say with certainty that the expectation was misplaced. Nothing happened in particular. My daughter just doesn't like her cousin. My wife keeps pushing the relationship. This includes making my daughter spend time with her cousin during family gatherings, inviting her cousin on trips, forcing my daughter to call her. We're pretty sure I'm the favorite parent, a fact that keeps my ego well inflated, and therefore, my apathy towards the situation is not well received by my wife. From my perspective, this isn't important, and I do not possess the ability to make two teenagers become friends. I'm also pretty sure that trying to push this kind of knuckle-headed stuff makes kids not want to speak to you. This is where I'm probably an a-hole. Yesterday, my wife forced my daughter to video call her cousin. My daughter rejected the request, and my wife told her, unless you have a valid reason for disliking your cousin, you will do this because we're family. The call occurred. This morning, we awoke to a PowerPoint presentation titled Valid Reasons to Dislike Cousin. Using clips from the Zoom call, segments included Why is Cousin's Voice So Grating? A music theory approach, a case study, conversations that provide no value, rethinking the idea that there are no dumb questions, etc. With the benefit of a couple of hours of hindsight, it was a very cruel takedown of her cousin's entire personality. My wife was furious. My eldest daughter and I lost our crap laughing. My wife is demanding I support her in punishing my daughter for bullying her cousin. I have refused because I feel this whole situation wouldn't have occurred if she didn't push the relationship. But I'm starting to have second thoughts because it was very mean. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife is the a-hole for forcing a 16-year-old to spend time with someone she doesn't like. The 16-year-old's response to your wife, she didn't tell the cousin this, I presume, is as hilarious as it is the fault of the adults forcing the relationship. I'm also not convinced that the cousin is down with this either, considering that the daughter is so clearly unhappy with spending time with her. Seriously, my 16-year-old self would have thrown a hizzy and stomped around. OP's kid is clever as all get out. She put together her thoughts in a concise and organized way. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Unless your daughter sends this presentation to her cousin or shared it with anybody else, it isn't bullying. What is she to be punished for? Doing what your wife asked and gave reasons for why she dislikes her cousin? Having no chemistry / a dislike for another person and not wanting to spend her time with that person? For having an opinion that differs from her mother's? Talk to your daughter and make sure her presentation is deleted, as it would be terrible should others get their hands on it. Your daughter is almost an adult, and your wife is pushing her away with her demands. By the way, your daughter sounds wonderful. Your wife, not so much. I'd also just like to say, I feel incredibly bad about laughing. She just started with a music theory lecture about some special discordant chord. Then, she had a video of the core that immediately went into a Zoom clip of her cousin producing the same notes. I just couldn't hold it in. Tell her I'm impressed and like her more. There is only one thing you need to now do. Delete that PowerPoint and never tell. Think of it as a family secret. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing a free house on my child's behalf? Some quick bullet points. I'm 29 male and a widower with a daughter, 1 female. My girlfriend passed away in labor. I have a relatively nice 3-bedroom apartment that we live in. I'm a professor at the university. My late girlfriend's family is loaded. Both her parents are engineers who started and sold several companies and have been retired for a couple decades now. They decided without much warning to start looking to buy us a house. By this, I mean they want to buy a house my daughter and I will live in, but it will be in their names until my daughter is 18, then it's transferred to her. I am not involved at all. My name is on nothing. They want to mortgage it and have me make monthly payments to live there. This was a plan when my late girlfriend was pregnant. They wanted to buy a house, have it in her name, then it would become the matrimonial home when we got married and I would have equal rights to it. Since this didn't happen, they still want to go ahead with the house, but the conditions are changed such that I have no right to it. I am refusing because I don't want to pay for something I have no rights to. You can argue I do this right now by renting, but I have some rights with regards to my living conditions. I also don't manage the property. With the house, I am on the hook for everything, and the way they want to do it is, I still yet have no right to it. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This isn't a free house for your child. Late girlfriend's parents would carry the notes while you pay the mortgage. So you would be buying your daughter a house, not her rich grandparents. I highly suspect these people are merely looking for a way to maintain control over you and your daughter. Not the a-hole. They want a way to guarantee he won't move away or anything else. No relationship they don't approve of, or is out on the street. Not the a-hole. It seems like they think they're trying to help by following through with the plan. Perhaps instead sit down with them, thank them kindly for the offer, and offer instead if they are really wanting to help their grandchild in the future to set her up a college fund or mutual fund, so that when she gets older, she has a nice little nest egg from her grandparents. This will separate their good intentions of wanting to help your daughter from any possible manipulative intentions of wanting to control you and your daughter. Not the a-hole. You already have a rental home, and you would have no advantage in moving. If they want to gift your daughter a house, they can still buy one and give it to her when she's 18. That way, she can also have a say in where and what to buy and isn't stuck with a house she doesn't like. Not only that, they buy a brand new house. In 18 years, know what it's time for? Hot water tank replacement, roof replacement, etc., etc., etc. All super expensive things. Happy 18th birthday. Here's a bunch of bills to deal with. If they want to buy her a home, buy her a new one when she's ready to take it. Because then it's new. It has new appliances, everything is good, and she can focus on getting her life in order and not trying to maintain a 2-decade-old home. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my wife in front of our friends by not going along with her lie? When my wife and I got married, we were both working. Once our first child was born, she wanted to quit. Completely her decision. I started working more to compensate, and she started taking care of the house and the kid. I am a pretty clean person, and I help whenever I could, or if she asked. I am an involved parent. Then we had another kid, and I started working even more. At the end of 2019, my wife flew to her home country to visit her parents. Airports were shut down and all the flights were cancelled before she could come back. There was a lot of red tape to unravel here, and we couldn't get her back home until May. Like I said, the only reason I didn't do household works was because I was working too much, and I discussed that with my wife, and she was also okay with taking care of the household. I have lived alone for several years, and until she quit her job, I always did my share of everything. I am pretty far from helpless. At first, I freaked out a little as I couldn't work from home and I had kids, 7 male and 2 female to take care of. In the end, I figured it out. I was stretched a little thin, but it was nothing unmanageable. My wife came back home in the beginning of May 2020. She was very happy to be home and we were all happy to have her back. There didn't seem to be any problem. A few weeks ago, we have having dinner at our house with one of our couple friends when my wife told them that I was miserable without her, that the kids were miserable, that the house was a disaster, that she had so much stuff to clean up, etc. She basically said that I was helpless without her and that I couldn't take care of anything while she was gone. I kinda chuckled awkwardly. I told her that the kids and I were definitely miserable sometimes because we missed her, but nothing other than that was true. I told her not to lie about me or my ability to take care of the kids. After dinner, she was extremely mad at me and told that I was a jerk and that I should have just played along. She told me that she felt awful that I could manage everything without her, and she felt that they can't/didn't need her, and that she was insignificant. I obviously tried to tell her that it wasn't the case, but she kept yelling at me and made me sleep on a couch. Here is the thing. Just because she isn't employed doesn't mean she can't work/doesn't know how to work. Similarly, just because I don't do things now doesn't mean I can't do it. I think it's demeaning to have me pretend that I am a man-child who has to be babied or doesn't know how to do basic things or cannot take care of my own children, just so that she can feel better about herself. I don't think it's right to portray me as an incompetent person because she feels insecure. However, she is still really upset, and I am not so sure anymore. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not going along with the lie? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If I was in her position, I would be non-stop bragging to people about how great you had been as a caring father and understanding husband. You were basically a single dad for a few months. That's not an easy task. She should be gloating non-stop about you, not tearing you down. Exactly this. If my partner had done all that, I'd have been singing his praises. Right? An actual song. I'd be calling his mom up saying, I need a manual on how you raised your kids so I can follow it to the letter. I'd carry his picture saying, this is the reason I have more than one kid. I'm trying to make more of him. She should be stoked to know that if anything happened to her, he'd be able to pick up the slack like a damn superhero. I'd be bragging to every girl I know. Hell, guys too. She's not seeing the big picture here. Not the a-hole. She tried to throw you under the bus in front of your friends and expected you to just suck it up and play the poor useless husband who can't cope. Ask yourself what she would have said had you done what she did and brought up how easily you coped without her and that she clearly didn't do much. How would have she reacted? Would she have just played along? The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my sister during family dinner? So I, female 21, was having dinner with my family. My sister, 31, and her fiancé, my 2 brothers, 28-23, and my parents. Let me give a small backstory before I continue. My sister has hated me all my life. I don't know why, but she does. I tried my hardest to have a relationship with her, but she never cared for it. You'd think after we've all matured, she'd quit whatever it is she's on, but she's still the same as she was when we were children. My parents never called her out on how she treated me, so she just continued it. One of her favorite things to do is compare me at a certain age to her when she was that age. For example, I was smarter at 14 than Opie was. I even got better grades. And that brings me to today. My sister was on her shtick again and comparing me to college courses I'm currently taking versus the ones she took. She took it to another level and said, I wasn't smart, and she could prove I cheated 12 years through school and 2 years in college. She asks, this is her exact question. If you're so smart, what is the noun of a pronoun with an adverb? Everyone around the table kinda just stares like, what? She asks again. I tell her there's no answer to that as it didn't make any sense. Her conclusion? I'm an idiot. So, I decided to ask her a question. I asked her to tell me how does precipitation work in the water cycle. A simple question to me. No answer. She gets red and says I purposely used a big word to confuse her, and I wasn't being fair. Here's where I could be the jerk. I mocked what she said, but I thought you were smarter than me. My brother chimed in and said it was a fair question, and she got embarrassed and walked out. My dad says I owe her an apology and said I should have been the bigger person as I've always been. I told him I'm not going to apologize and she can cry about it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She can dish it out, but she can't take it. Yeah, lol. And that sucks for her. Not the a-hole. Good for you for standing up for yourself, OP. If that is all you did or said, it was pretty damn mild, and she overreacted. If she starts back up, and you react again, maybe she will learn to not poke at you, if she is so smart. And you don't always have to be the bigger person if your 10 years older sister wants to pick on you in public. Edited to add, she didn't know precipitation is rain? Precipitation is a big word? Maybe accusing you of cheating your way all through school is projecting on her part. Or maybe not. Maybe projection is just too big a word for her. You can save that word the next time. If you can get her explanation of a noun of a pronoun with an adverb, please post it. I have to know. Yes, I read it 3 times and still have no clue. Literally asked my English teacher boyfriend, and he's unsure. Was precipitation supposed to be the big word a 31-year-old educated woman doesn't know? Christ, you're not the a-hole, and your sister is high on her horse. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay bills for a house I house-seated a month ago? I don't really think I'm the a-hole in this situation, but the family member, her boyfriend and her mom sure do. Although the fact that the family member recently lost her job due to the pandemic does make me feel like I'm being an a-hole. A little less than a month ago, I decided to house sit for a family member and her boyfriend for a week while they were going to see their parents. I knew I wasn't getting paid for taking care of the home / feeding their pets, but I was okay with it because I live with my parents, and a week away sounded like a dream come true. House sitting went fine, and I'd pretty much forgotten about it until today. The family member sent me a PayPal request with no explanation. She requested $184, and I immediately called her and asked why she was doing this. She stated that it was my share of the bills for when I stayed. I was in shock. I told her I took a week off of work to care for her house free of charge. She said that I still had to pay utilities. Keep in mind, I was never once made aware of this. Otherwise, I would have told them to get lost when they asked me in the first place. I told her to go screw herself and hung up. Ever since, she's been messaging me saying she's going to call the police and tell everyone on Facebook about what a horrible piece of work I am. I haven't responded to any of these messages and don't plan to. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Send her a bill for pet services. The going rate in my area is $70 a day. This should have been discussed beforehand, not argued about afterwards. And if she calls the police, let the police know about her MJ stash. She won't call the police because she knows they will piss themselves that she thinks she's owed money by the house sitter. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Preempt her by making your own Facebook post. Here's gratitude for you. I mind X's house for a week. Free. I feed their pets for a week. Free. Now she's trying to bill me for the utilities. Lol. Make it a GoFundMe post. X is in such dire straits that they asked me to pay for utilities for the week I house and pet sit for them for free. I had no idea it was so bad. Please donate here to help. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying I won't go on vacation with my family if I'll have to sleep on the floor? I, female 16, live with my mom, dad, and sisters, 13, 18. We go on a vacation at least once a year. To save money, my dad keeps booking hotel rooms that can sleep a maximum of 4. Things like a king bed for them and trying to shove me and my sisters on a pull-out couch or 2 full beds and no couch. And for almost all these vacations, I end up sleeping on the floor because there's never enough beds. We're going to the snow next weekend and my dad was booking a hotel room. I went to an Airbnb and found a condo with 2 bedrooms and 5 beds that beat the price of the hotel. But my dad said no because it was 10 minutes from downtown and didn't have a TV. He said we only need 2 beds like we always get, and I told him I'm sick of sleeping on the floor whenever we go on vacation. He said it's only a couple days and I'll be fine, and I told him if he gets a room where I'll be sleeping on the floor, I'm not going. My grandparents live across the street from us, so if my parents don't want me to be home alone, I can stay with them. My dad yelled at me and called me ungrateful for not wanting to go. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to go on vacation to sleep on the floor? Edit. I don't choose to sleep on the floor. When we go on vacation, there's 2 beds, and my parents take one and my sisters take the other, and there's no room for me in the bed. Since a lot of people are asking, the rooms usually don't fit an air mattress or cot. Plus, the hotel charges extra for a cot and my dad doesn't want to pay for that. So I usually sleep on a couple of sheets. My sisters don't sleep on the floor because my older sister has back problems, and my little sister throws temper tantrums and run the house. Now for the top comments. Not a hole. Since there are 3 sisters, they can share a king-size bed and your parents can sleep on a pull-out couch if they insist on saving money. Pulling out would have prevented this whole situation. Cue drum and cymbals. Not a hole, by the way. Not a hole. It's absolutely unfair to expect you to sleep on the floor of a hotel, no less. If beds for all can't be afforded, it makes sense to save longer or sacrifice the 10 minutes in TV. I feel like he'd be changing his tune if he wasn't guaranteed a bed. You feel me? And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my stepsister how her mom and my dad started their relationship? I'm 23 and have a 16-year-old stepsister. My dad and her mom's relationship started as an affair when my mom was very sick. My mom found out and was heartbroken the last 2 months of her life. At the time, my stepsister was very young, so she never knew the details. She always thought that they started dating after my mom died, while my dad was grieving. I didn't realize that she thought this. And this past weekend while home for Thanksgiving, we were talking, and she mentioned something about how it must have been when they started dating while my dad was still grieving. I was shocked that she didn't know the truth, and I told her that's not actually what happened. When she found out, she was extremely shocked and went on to tell my dad and her mom that she lost a ton of respect for them. My dad is pissed at me and was telling me how it was none of my or her business and I was meddling for no reason. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but truthfully, I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh no, that's not what happened at all, when I told her. While I admit I was pissed at my dad at the time, I've since moved on for the most part. Though to be honest, I'll never think the same of him, and that'll never change, but he's my only parent left, so I don't want to totally lose him. My stepmom is also pissed at me because her daughter's perception of her has changed so much, but I only told the truth. My girlfriend thinks I didn't do anything wrong, though it would have been better if I didn't say anything at all. I feel conflicted though. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They are responsible for their actions, and if their daughter thinks less of them now, it's a direct result of their lying to her in the first place. You maybe could have taken a moment to speak to them before telling her, but they brought the situation upon themselves. You maybe could have taken a moment to speak to them before telling her. Actually, I think that would be worse. As it is, Opie reacted in a moment of shock to their stepsister's misunderstanding. It wasn't premeditated. The only thing that would have happened if Opie excused themselves from the conversation to go talk to their parents first would be that they talked Opie out of it or Opie would give them an ultimatum. Your daughter seems to think you got together after mom died. You need to tell her the truth or I will. There's no way that would have gone down well. Not the a-hole though. If they didn't want their daughter to lose respect for them, then they shouldn't have done something so morally reprehensible. Not the a-hole. Sorry if the truth embarrasses him, but maybe he should have thought of that before abandoning his dying wife. Right? Cheaters don't get to be mad that people find out that they're cheaters. Not the a-hole. First of all, it absolutely is your business. He cheated with your stepmom on your mother who was sick and dying. You absolutely get to have an opinion here. Second, the only reason they would get this angry about it is if they knew what they did was wrong. You did nothing wrong and had no ill intent. All of their discomfort is self-created. You echoed my thoughts. That was nearly exactly what I was going to say. Also, I think his dad and his wife are extremely lucky that Opie forgave them. I know for a fact I never would, if I knew the last few months of my mother's life was made all the worse by such a betrayal. Not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for having my stepdad walk me down the aisle? So, my biological father has never been super present in my life. only really showing up for the big events like graduation, etc. Even when I turned 18, I tried to have a sit down with him and ask why he was never there and told him how it made me feel, and he was just super apathetic about the situation. He kept saying he didn't want to talk about it, and he didn't think he should make excuses. It's life and crap happens. So I was just kinda like, whatever, and let it go. We never really had a relationship from there, with him still occasionally popping in on a birthday here and there. Fast forward to last year, at my wedding, I had my stepdad, who has been in my life since I was 2 years old and raised me as his own, walk me down the aisle. I didn't even really want to invite my biological dad, but his parents insisted that I should. He came to me after the wedding and said that it kind of hurt his feelings and that I'm his daughter, so he should have been given the opportunity to give me away in marriage. My response was, "You gave me away when I was 2, and you allowed another man to raise me," which he didn't take very lightly. He just stormed out of the ceremony, and I haven't seen him since. We haven't spoken at all since then, but shortly after the wedding, I found out I was pregnant, and he spent my whole pregnancy in the first month of my son's life posting to Facebook about how excited he is to be a grandpa, telling everyone about his amazing grandson, and all of his Facebook friends were congratulating him. But he still has yet to even offer to meet my son, let alone buy him even a pair of socks. His parents, my grandparents that I absolutely adore and are actually close to, have come to visit a few times and bought him some things. This whole fake grandpa thing really upset me, so I called him out on it, and it cost quite a steer. Now his twin sister, my horrible aunt, just came back from living in London and is only now finding out that I'm married and didn't let my bio dad walk me down the aisle and made a whole post on Facebook about the situation. Her and some other family members are trying to make me feel bad about not having him walk me down the aisle, and is now claiming I won't let him meet my son. I got really annoyed and blocked all of them. But now I'm not so sure. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. "You gave me away when I was 2 and you allowed another man to raise me." Literally the perfect response. Your dad is a douche. Do not let him or anyone else feel bad about your decision. He made a choice to screw off and not be there for you throughout your life, so he can live with it. And if he wants to make up BS about you not letting him meet your son, let him. The people who matter know the truth, not the a-hole. Blocking them may be harsh, but if that's what you had to do, then so be it. They need to grow up. How do you let a grown man get away with essentially abandoning his daughter and then side with him when he cries about not being involved? His sister keeps arguing that he's seen how he is with his kids, my sister and brother he had with other women. Apparently, he was a really good dad to them. And she insists I need to stop saying he's a bad dad for that reason. I'm just like... And some family members are now claiming that it's not all his fault that he wasn't there for me, because my mom moved me 3 hours away, and things happened that I'll never understand, and my mom is at fault too, etc. Imagine the pain of your stepdad to see you walking down the aisle with your bio father after all these years of him being there for you, raise you, pay for your school and health, support you and play with you. Just because your bio father once upon a time conceived you. Nah, OP, not a a-hole. Actions have consequences, full stop. Yeah, I talked to my stepdad about it, and he's about ready to fight my bio dad because it feels like he and his family are bullying me and whatnot. Still trying to talk him out of it. Not a a-hole. He's trying to do the same thing to your son as he did to you, a good parent/grandparent only for show. He may have his personal issues, but he should understand that his actions have consequences, and it's not like you did this out of spite. You did this to honor the man who you feel played the largest part in raising you. There's a phrase, you can't have your cake and eat it. As for the blocking, that may be fine for now, but it's best not to burn bridges in the long run. He could still put effort into being a granddad, but of course, to have any chance of that, you need some method of communication. I only block them on Facebook. I'm usually a pretty private person, so I didn't like that they just decided to put all of that on there like that. They all still have my number though. The next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she shouldn't be surprised that her baby daddy sucks?" I was told about this subreddit and created an account just to post this. Please use your judgment to tell me if I should apologize or not, / if I am an a-hole. My sister had a baby about 6 months ago. Since then, the baby daddy has not really stepped up at all. They apparently are still together, but went from seeing her 5 to 6 days a week to maybe once a week. He doesn't buy anything for the baby. He does nothing. She constantly complains and is turning super bitter to the situation. She calls me every day and does nothing but talk about her crap baby daddy. I ask her multiple times to give me updates on other parts of her life, but she will say one thing and then somehow tie it back to her baby daddy. Yesterday, she goes on a tangent about how she never would have had a baby if she knew she was going to be alone. I got irritated and asked how she didn't see this coming. She then says, "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" I say, he has 3 other baby mothers, works a slightly above minimum wage job, doesn't have reliable transportation. His other baby mothers have said that daddy doesn't do crap for their babies, and there is no way 3 women are all lying. She says, he told me otherwise. I had no reason to believe. He said this was for the long run. I say, well, it looks like he is taking a long run away from his responsibilities. I love you, but you're bitter. He is responsible for his kid, but it's no surprise what's going on. The sooner you realize you're a single mom and take his butt to court for child support, the better off you'll be. She then cursed me out and hung up on me. She is no longer speaking to me and no longer having me babysit her baby. My mom is mad at me for pissing my sister off and now having to babysit more. She agrees that I spoke facts though. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. The man already had 3 kids from 3 different women? He's a serial deadbeat dad. Your sister was a dummy, and now she's learned the hard way. Someone had to tell her the facts so she can understand her actual situation and not the one he lied to her about, so she can take next steps. You don't want to keep hearing about the consequences that you knew would happen. I guess it's hard for the sister to see it, but OP's just talking some sense, not a-hole. The sooner you realize you're a single mom and take his ass to court for child support, the better off you'll be. Wish more siblings said such reasonable things to wake someone up from their delusions. Not a-hole. Well done, she needed to hear it. She might hate you now, but if she does the right thing, by God's will everybody else have a better life. Including the kid. Dude works minimum wage and has 4 supports to pay. She's going to be getting like $20 a month. Not a-hole. Honestly, it was harsh, but it was what she clearly needed to hear. She stuck tied to that idiot for 18 years because she thought she would be different. That those other 3 women were all lying and she was somehow freaking special. She should have never let that man boy in her life, and maybe, just maybe, she'll accept what you're telling her much sooner than the years it takes sometimes. Good luck. Edit. Just a quick FYI. I was in this situation, and guess who raised her big sister's 2 teenagers? Yeah, me. After I had to take them after my mom died because my sister gave up on parenting after about a year and 3 months. I'm sorry that happened to you. Was there a way you prevented becoming bitter? I just want her to be happy. She can't change the situation about the baby, but I'm hoping she can get some empowerment from moving on. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom it's not my fault my sister doesn't have a dad? This is a little bit messy, but bear with me please. I, 17 female, have a sister, 14 female. We have different dads. Our mom isn't with either of them and, no shame towards her, doesn't have any contact information or even a surname for my sister's dad. This is important information. Today, I borrowed €5 off my sister to pay for something for school because mom couldn't afford it. She's still on the PUP. My sister casually mentioned it to my mom after school before I got home, and my mom rang me saying, "Get the F home now." I get home and my mom started shouting at me. I kinda let her shout for a while until she got to, "You get so much more than what your sister does. Your dad sends you €50 on the 10th of each month. Why could you have used that?" I tried explaining that I used literally all of my money, even what I had saved on Christmas this year, so I didn't have it, and what I needed for school had to be paid for today, and that I couldn't just wait until the 10th, and I do have every intention of paying her back. Note, my mom buys an awful lot more for my sister to compensate, and I usually give my sister some money each month. She went off saying how I was ungrateful, and how it's not fair on my sister that my dad does stuff for me, but she doesn't have a dad to do stuff for her. She eventually said that she was going to tell him to stop sending me money every month. This annoyed me. She barely talks to my dad and doesn't pay for much for me outside of food. I got angry and said, "It's not my fault you slept with a stranger from a pub raw 15 years ago and never got a phone number from him," and left the room. Mom's not talking to me now. My older sister, 22 female, also a different dad. Hers is dead and she got the same treatment when he was alive. Says mom had it coming. But my younger sister says I should have just stood there and taken the yelling. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's off her rocker. Your sister helped you and so you'll return the favor. Also, no, it's 100% not your fault she liked it raw. Likes it raw, with different guys, and apparently isn't taking care properly of her daughters. Not the a-hole. It's no one's fault but your mom's for doing it without protection. You guys are doing the best you can, and you had every intention to pay your sister back. While I think you shouldn't have said that in front of your sister, I don't feel sympathy for your mom. Not the a-hole. Your mom's reaction to you borrowing €5 from your sister was very odd. Also, her attempt at overcompensating at your sister's lack of dad involves being cruel and unfair towards you and your older sister. This is not okay. I'm sorry you have to deal with all this. While your comment was harsh, albeit amusing from a reader's perspective, it only came after you had to listen to a stream of abuse. Don't dish out what you can't take. Frankly, it sounds like your comment was a long time coming. Maybe it will prompt your mom to wake up. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe.